This is Jim. You could visit me at mooker.com. The link is in the description, the Over Unity forums, so we could search for anomalies. Okay, I'm going to show something that very few are going to understand what I'm trying to show. And if you have comments like, oh, you should do this, oh, the biased waveform, blah, 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 then you could go somewhere else because you're not looking at what I'm showing. Okay, I'm showing this. This is a motor spinning a generator. This is modified. I rewound it. I worked on the commutator and I made it so it does one-way DC pulses, not smooth DC pulses. Okay. This comes out as one-way direct current and goes into a resistor. Okay. Through the multimeter, measuring direct current, and goes to a resistor. Then it just goes right back to the motor right now because I have the cap shorted. Okay, so this bypasses the cap. It goes right back to the motor. So this is just standard one-way pulses. I'm going to show you what they look like without the capacitor. Okay, so the motor's going. The resistor is being powered with 600 milliamps. Okay, the 8 ohm resistor. Here's the output waveform. As you see, it's one-way pulses. Almost pretty clean. A little bit of jitter in there, but not too bad. Okay. And that's the modified generator that doesn't put out AC. It's commutated. 2 poles commutated. I wired it for it. I knocked the capacitor off. Okay. Again, that's the output. And this is the direct current we're generating through, out of the generator, through the resistor. Direct current. Okay, direct current. Now I'm going to bounce it off the cap on before it gets to the negative. So the one-way pulses fill up one side of the cap, and as those pulses start retreating, the cap voltage is higher than the voltage it's declining, so the cap returns the voltage back to the source. And the source is the generator coils. So I'm going to bounce it through the cap. As you heard, it just sped up. Okay, now here's my output. Now it's taking 2 sides of the polarity line and it centered itself. Not really centered, but it really did center, and I'll show you why in a minute when you look at the current. But anyway, now we're only getting 3 volts through this 8 ohm resistor. 11 volts peak to peak. 11.5. Okay? Okay, so now we're getting full alternating current through this resistor. Now, look at the direct current amps. 0.0000. There's none. Every single ounce of energy that's coming out of here is going through the load into the capacitor, filling up one side. But because it's single polarity, we never fill up the other side. The voltage starts decreasing here, and this is higher than the motor coil. So what does it do? It comes back through the capacitor, through the resistor again, back to the source, reactive power. So what does this mean? We have no direct current because it's offset by the rebound. It's like dropping a rock onto a trampoline and the rock comes back up the exact same height. Okay, now I'm going to look at alternating current going through the resistor. Alternating current going through the resistor is 365 milliamps. 360 milliamps. Okay, alternating. Even though this generator is set up to do what? Direct current, as you saw in the beginning. 600 milliamps direct current is now 0 amps direct current because we're rebounding it off a trampoline and returning it to the source as reactive power and making the energy go through the resistor on the way to the cap, and the cap sends the energy back through the resistor and it returns to the source all in one piece. Okay? Now, this is highly interesting stuff. So you could turn one-way pulses, single polarity pulses, into alternating current pulses and no longer use anything from the source as far as direct current. Even though this is putting out direct current, it's not drawing anything from the source. Now, the object is this return energy is going through the coils in the motor backwards, in the generator backwards. Therefore, they should be giving a kick to the rotor to neutralize the drag, because the drag is coming, pushing everything this way. It's bouncing off the cap at the speed of light and returning to the coil, going the other way and back to the cap. Therefore, the coil gets charged and drags, but then the rebound offsets the drag and brings it back to the coil. That's what I'm aiming for. But the problem is, look at that waveform. It's not perfectly smooth. Let's short the cap again. So we'll take the cap out of the picture. It's not a smooth alternating. It kind of V's right here, sharp V, you see, because it's mechanically rectified. I don't have a smooth one polarity sine wave, and I'm struggling on how to make that. Now there's other parameters that I have to think about. For instance, I can't just use a battery. I can't use a battery too easily, or I can't use a solid source. The source itself, where the origination of the electric is coming from, these coils, has to oscillate. A battery is just flat. So you can never rebound the energy and have the battery resync it on the way back. Because the battery's flat, it's not going down in order to allow the current to return to it. So it has to be an oscillating source, I think. Unless there's a way to do it solid state and redirect it to some other capture device. I don't know yet. But either way, this is profound that we're getting 600 milliamps direct current coming out of this generator. Okay? And when we bounce it off the capacitor on a negative, so it goes through the load, it's going to fill up this side of the cap. Then as that wave is going down, this cap is now higher than the source, so this becomes the source feeding back to the generator, back through the coils, and returning to the cap on the negative side, resulting in zero direct current that comes out of the generator, even though, I'm going to short it again, even though this generator puts out 600 milliamps into an 8 ohm resistor. A lot more if I shorted it, it'll be in the amps, but it puts out pretty good amperage, right? But it goes to zero because it's being returned, and we're able to use it. The resistor is getting hot. It's literally hot. Okay? And alternating current, you can see this resistor is actually dissipating wattage. Okay? Even though a direct current alternator is putting out no direct current because it's changing it into AC from the bounce back. So I could keep trying to explain it over and over again, and people are going to listen and say stupid stuff like superimposed DC wave and this and that, blah, 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 or whatever they're going to say. But they're not on the right wavelength seeing what I'm showing here. Now, there's more to it to get this to do what we want it to do, and I have to think about other ways to accomplish what we're looking for. But that is quite telling, that reactive power, because this is sending it back, reactive, okay, reactive power back to the source. Reactive power, even though this is putting out a DC, a direct current source, the reactive power can be used through the resistor and resync the source without having any DC flow in the circuit at all. Nothing's coming out here DC. Everything's returning to it. So if this could be done with a battery, if this was a battery, it would be golden. But I can't figure out how the waves have to work yet, or how to make that work like that. So join the forum. Let's discuss. Put our minds together. See ya.